My name is Lay, and I'm from the Dominican Republic. I was like 15, 14 when I told my mother for the first time that I was bisexual, because that's the language that I have at the moment. But it also was like really not talked about in my house. My parents knew about my sexual orientation, but they never discussed it. They never accepted anything about it. They Christians, so they pastors and all that is involved in it. And at the same time, I knew there was something else. And then in 2013, we migrated to the Bronx. So it was me, my sister, my brother, my father, and my mother. I lived in New York City for 2 years, and then I needed space to figure it out myself, to figure it out what I wanted and where I wanted to go in life. So I decided to go to Binghamton because it was 4 hours away from them, and I could find myself in there. I was in college. I was doing my undergrad. For the first time, I was able to study something that have to do with like my life. And I took this class in my second semester, that was women gender studies. And the book was a topic onto like what is gender, how does gender looks, and the different type of genders and sexuality. My professor was like this old school lesbian, which also was like really amazing to have in those spaces. And there was this moment where we have to do a group project where we have to do like a presentation on whatever we wanted from the book. And I remember telling my group mates that we should do it on gender fluidity. And I was like, yeah, that's like really interesting. I want to know like how this looks like, and I want to like explore it. I did the presentation, everybody loved it, and I was like, oh, and I'm gender, and I'm not fluid in my gender. And they was like, oh, how does it feel? So it wasn't a backlash that I encountered, which always was the first time of me showing my queerness as well and not getting a backlash. I think like finding that topic that was about gender fluidity was like what really broke it for me, because it gave me the language to describe what I was feeling, and it also gave me the language to tell people what I was. But after that, I moved back to my parents' house, and things changed a lot. Because I didn't have the same freedom, not only for expressing myself, but even to explore that part of myself, because I was in constant questioning of like what I was doing, all of that, right? Like it was a really hyper-vigilant space. So I didn't feel like I didn't have that space to explore my gender identity. By feeling so restricted all the time in this space, I started going to bike rides. From that class that I took for gender studies, there was a list of books that my professor recommended. And I found a book called Nor Here Nor There. And it talks about, it's about this person that is also like in a gender journey, and is going through what is like transitioning later in life. So going into these bike rides, as I keep reading this book and finding more and more about myself in it. And one day I was on a specific bike ride, almost at the end of the book. I used to always go to this specific place that is by a pier, and there's this beautiful tree, and I will always just sit there to like read my book. When I close the book, put it down, and I start biking to this other place, it started going through my head that same thought that I have back into that class of me being non-binary or not being gender fluid. And I call this good friend of mine at the moment, and I told them like I have something to say, and I told them that I was considering coming out as non-binary. The response to this person was like, tell me something new, which for me was like really validating, because I never felt seen before in this way. So it was really freeing that someone didn't ask me to a why or ask me many questions in that moment. I never thought I would live over 30. I never saw a life for myself, even over 25. And that was for my 30th birthday. So I think like it definitely was a beginning for me. And then after that, I got into my bike and I just went for like a really long bike ride by the water. And went back to my house and it was like, we're here again. But I knew that moment that it wasn't the same person. And that I have accepted in that moment a big part of me. So I started looking for devices like binders and things like that. And I remember the first time that I bind in my house was like, what's going on? And I was like, oh, I cannot do this here. Transitioning that space was impossible. So I needed to get out of there. And yeah, that's what I basically work for in the next 6 months of my life, and then I get out of there. So after I moved out of my parents' house, I also had for the first time the space to look for what I actually wanted. And for the first time, it was like about me and no one else. So I pursued a clinical transition. I started testosterone in 2018, and I started also looking for surgeons to get top surgery. I went to therapy, a lot of therapy, and also spend time with myself and with people that lift me and celebrates me. Things have been difficult for me and my family after I started my transition, and we have drifted in the way that we relate to each other. And there's been a lot of I love you, but it's a lot of like, I think it's a lot of I'm okay with you, but I don't want to talk about what you're going through. And I think like that's something that also have shifted for me, where I'm like, I want to be present and I want to be there 100% as I am. And I think after going through so much, like after it took me so long to be here, I just want to be celebrated, and I can't wait for people around. And I feel like we keep missing those stories where people are like, I didn't have a good outcome with my family, or I didn't know I was trans until I was 27. Like it's not about like me learning, like knowing about this for all my life. I feel like it's more about me getting to this conclusion. I hope someone looks at this, and if they're going through something with their family, they understand that there's also chosen family out there. And if you are thinking that you cannot make it until 30, I'm 32 now, so you can.